It gives me great pleasure to not only introduce her here as an Nikon ambassador, but a great portrait photographer from Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, Audrey Woulard.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. Thank you guys to Nikon for always having me on the stage. It is a pleasure every time I'm here. And this time, I'm actually going to talk about something a little bit different, something that's really near and dear to my heart, not just like now, today, but it actually like started many, many years ago. So I really want to talk about, having no permission needed, owning your creative power. I want to set you guys up with this quote for the entire time that I'm talking. And the most powerful creative voice that you can have and hear is your own. But the entire message from that is only if you listen to it. In this age of social media, it is easier said than done. So we're going to have a story time. I'm going to take you all the way back, pre-social media, and I'm dating myself, so you all just keep that to yourself. But pre-social media, where we had message boards and things like that, when I used to take pictures of kids, the whole thing was black and white photography. They wore jeans, white shirt. That was the kit. That's what you did. If you did anything outside of that, you were making a creative choice that was not going to be welcomed. So I had this client come. I was outdoors. They were bringing their kids, and they showed up. I remember this like it was yesterday. She had on, little girl, one of these Gap ponchos. It was striped, like pink and white striped. Jeans. I thought it was cute. It was summertime. We were all in the greens, the like forest area. I thought it was cute. So what did I do? I took the picture. I liked the picture. I composed the picture just like I wanted it, and everything looked good to me until I posted that picture on the internet. On this message board, and I got picked apart. Girl, they saw the fork on the ground and then ended it, well, what are those kids wearing? All right. Now, I know this is the time that you think I'm going to insert this picture in this program. I'm not. But I am going to leave you with this. This is going to kind of set the scene for how my brain worked. This is about 20 years ago. This is my family. Those kids are a whole lot bigger now. They're all adults. But, yes, they are adults. But this kind of sets the stage for how I thought, what I thought was pretty, what I thought was memories, what I felt needed to be captured. That they weren't dressed in, they mixed, matched, swim shirts. We were in San Diego. It was cold, which is why they have on the shirts. I've got the different planes of focus. I just like the picture, and this is always going to be one of my good memories. So I do have a question for you guys. How many of you ever had hesitated to share an image because you weren't sure if it was right? How many of you guys have been able to do that? Especially in this age of social media, this right here stops so many people from growing. Trust me, there is not a photographer that you will see speaking today who does not go through any of this, who does not feel this. This is so real. And a lot of the things I'm going to talk to you guys about today is going to be my journey of still dealing with this today. And hopefully, none of this impacts how you move, what you show, more importantly, what you capture. Because that is what's going to feed your soul, and more importantly, is going to give you longevity in everything that you do. I mean, I share images sometimes that I actually like. Well, you should, right? Those are the ones that you share. But I love these images, but I tend to get picked apart. So I want to come with you guys with this. Why do we seek permission? So many different reasons, but I have 3 that I wanted to actually talk about. Fear of failure, imposter syndrome, comparison culture. You can have all 3, or one of the 3 can be something that resonates more to you. Sometimes people look at my pictures and then they compare it to what they do. So let me tell you a funny story about this one. I like creative crops, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the day. But do you know what happened with this picture that I loved, client loved, shared it online? Can you guys guess what happened? I shared this picture. Someone took it through AI and added legs because they felt that was how the image was supposed to be captured. But it wasn't their image. It was mine. I could have changed how I thought, told myself, well, maybe I should always capture pictures with legs. I mean, you do need to see legs every so often, right? But what if I didn't want to do that? Like, what if I wanted to capture something the way that I wanted to capture it? So, when you're actually seeking permission, I hate to tell you guys, you're already behind. If you're really looking at people to give you validation online, by likes, by comments, by how many followers you have, you're literally one step behind. So if you can tell yourself that this here is stopping the growth from you as an artist, you're one step ahead. I can capture pictures like this today, and I'm still going to get beat up about it, but I have to always tell myself, this is my vision, this is what I want to create, and more importantly, because I am in business, this is what my clients hire me for. Now, what's the cost of seeking permission? I just picked out two. Stagnation. For me, mine is creating for approval instead of creating for impact. Now, impact is a tricky word because everyone's version of impact is going to be different. What is impactful to me may not be impactful to the next person. So that's something you definitely have to keep in mind. So I'm just going to tell you guys another little story. We got a lot of story times today, so stick to it. Now, I like to do things sometimes a little differently, or sometimes I like to do things that are going to get people talking, right? So I like to photograph groups. And when I photograph groups, I like to photograph them at wide apertures. And so there is this unspoken rule that you should not photograph groups in wide apertures. So just because they say I shouldn't do it, guess what? I do it. Every time I do something that they say is a rule that is to be broken, that brings more people to me. And when you look at some of the things that you guys like, think about, is it going to be accepted? Or if it's not, but the person who needs to accept it the most is who? You. The more consistent you are with the images and creative process that you want to capture, build, move forward, the more you stick to that, the more people will remember you. And for me, even being on this stage, years and years and years have gone by where things that I have shown have not always been accepted. Even today, well, why are you doing it that way? Well, this is kind of what I want to do. But people are attracted to consistency. It might not be their consistency, but as long as it's yours, that's all that matters. So let's talk about this. How do you break out of that mindset, right? Because easier said than done. You'll post something online, and you may find that you don't get the things or the feedback that you want to receive. How do you break out of that mindset? And for me, I'm always going to use me as an example, honestly, because that's just the easiest things to do, is to use yourself. But how to break out of that mindset is I have to start to think of things differently. I have to find different strategies that can keep me on course. So I do want to bring up just what I say, 3 core, making sure I'm holding up 3 fingers. When you're holding this thing, you may not be thinking there's 3 fingers I'm thinking for, but 3 core strategies. Trust your instincts, set creative boundaries, redefine failure. All 3 of these things mean something different to me. One probably means a little bit more to me than the other 2, but these 3 are the 3, I guess, strategies that I think can help you break out of that mindset. So Let's talk about trust your instincts. Every mistake is just a step towards clarity. Trust yourself, and you'll see those missteps are what set your work apart. Things that people say are errors, wrong, not the correct rule, right? That's what you may be known for. So I'm going to show you just a couple of things I tend to get beat up on, but I love them. All right, this picture here, and I try to just pull things that I just captured, just so to make it very, very fresh. Because I can cheat and go find every great picture that I ever captured. I'm like, let me just find something I just captured, a month ago, a couple weeks ago. But I get beat up on this because they're like, sunspots are not supposed to be on the face. The highlights are too bright, you blew them out. But here's what I like this picture, because it brings you into the scene. You know it was sunny. You know it was, one of those days. This was actually captured in Miami. It was actually at a Nikon Z6 workshop that I led. And I'm from Chicago, and it was January. And guess what? We didn't have that sun. So I wanted to capture exactly what I saw. With these here, I'm going to show you a series of images that I like, and why I like them, and why it challenges people. It makes people stop scrolling, because they say in their brain, I like it, but it's not supposed to be that way, but why do I like it? So then everybody has to comment. Talk about that in a little bit. But here, it's, obviously lots of negative space. I like negative space, but here's why I like this. I'm on a hill, and it's like, obviously it's a street, and I'm sitting the girl on the curb, but this is what my eyes saw. I saw the big blue sky. So why am I cropping the big blue sky away? Let me make what I see with my eyes work. Does it challenge people in what they deem to be a perfect shot, where you zoom in, you capture the shot, and you get the person in the picture? Or can I, create my style the way that I want it, know that I like in the environment, but bring in the person as well, and make both of them work? My clients like it, but those who have been taught to like certain things, it challenges them. Now, either they will agree or they won't, but guess what? They're still talking. So even here, now this is captured in Chicago. I love my tall buildings, but she's sitting down. Chicago, sitting down, tall buildings. Guess what? I've got to have a lot of negative space in order to make that image work. But it still falls in line with my body of work, which is consistency. Yes? This is captured in Chicago. The image before that was captured in Alabama. This one here, captured in Kentucky, Louisville. I'm still capturing my same style, same thought process, same look, same thing that I want, but I'm also still getting beat up the same way. Why is she cropped so far away? Crop in tighter, but nope, I don't want to do that. But I also like chaos. And I captured this, obviously, in Chicago. I could have cropped in close, but you know what? When I captured this, I had no idea why the fire truck pulled up. I had no idea why the police car pulled up. Yes, I did wonder, but we are photographers, so what are we going to keep doing? We're going to keep getting the shot. So I did keep getting it, but I did wonder what happened, to the point I'm Googling, like, okay, what? Chicago, anything could happen. But it does embody everything that I love, and the chaos of the way that I like to capture images. So, creative boundaries. Not every piece of advice needs to be taken. This I really want you guys to embody, for sure. If you take anything away that I say today, please take that away. The best photographers are known when to listen and when to shut out the noise. Now, anybody who's followed my work, they know I am a lover of the 85mm lens. I'm also a lover of bokeh. I love it. I like shallow depth of field, unapologetically. I don't care how many people tell me, why do you have to shoot it so, wide open? Everything looks so bad. Guess what? I'm going to keep doing it because I love it. I love it. I've always loved it. Now, remember that picture I showed you guys at the top of the program of my kids when they actually were kids? The same look was there. I'm still embodying the same thought process to now. It's second nature. How do you get images so sharp? Because you know what? I was capturing my babies when they were that young, and I kept doing it because it was something that I loved, and so I started to perfect the lane that I loved. So I want each and every one of you guys to think of the things that you love. Perfect those lanes. As artists, we can always build on any lane that we create or any idea that we create. Anything that you love, you can always create on top of that. But for me, I love my shallow depth of field. I love my blurry backgrounds. I can back up as much as I want to narrow out and make the background a little bit more, in focus. But I'm gonna shoot wide open because it's what I love. Now, redefine failure. So the biggest shift happens when you stop asking, what if I fail? What if I start asking? What if it changes everything? I want to show you guys something. I did this in January, and I was in front of a parking lot, and I'm not one that likes golden hour. In fact, I kind of hate it in a way because there was so many different things that I didn't like about it. So this is just a behind the scenes. I'm using an 85mm 1.2 Z lens. I'm using the Z6 III, so you see I have the little flip screen on the ground, so you see that. I am using a strobe just to aid in actually lighting the model's face, but this was not ideal. This doesn't look good to you guys, does it? Come on, don't lie. It looks horrible. But I had a vision to find the light. I'm just attracted to the light. That's it. I'm in my zone. And I don't even really sit on the ground. So let me just say that part. So if I got on the ground, that means I was feeling it. I was feeling the moment. But this is what I captured. I really decided to take into account the light that I saw and embrace the light that I saw. I really didn't care so much about, hey, she's in front of a parking lot, everyone's gonna hate it. And instead, I looked at what I loved. And that's what I wanted to capture. For me, I'm a lover of light. I like to find the light. I like to follow the light. And in just that one spot, I'm able to create and capture what I wanted. And more importantly, remember that last point when I said, what if I fail? When I sat on that ground, when I told you I really don't sit on the ground, I actually thought I was gonna fail. I really thought that it wasn't gonna work. I thought in my brain, what I wanted to capture, I wasn't gonna be able to capture. But the takeaway from this is I tried. I filmed it, and I showed it. I'm not a photographer that is known of showing golden hour pictures. People see me in the city, I'm doing urban, I'm in the alleys, I'm doing all of that stuff. But I'm like, you know what, let me try something a little different. But I'm still staying in the parameters of my style. So that's what I'm talking about. Actually taking that time to embrace who you are and grow from there. So the creative power of saying no. When we think about saying no, and when people tell you guys about saying no, it's always about, hey, you know what? I shouldn't take this assignment, or I shouldn't capture this because this is against what I shoot, or I don't shoot this and I don't do that. But I want to show you guys a different way of, just looking at it. So just owning your creative power isn't just about what you say yes to. It's about knowing when to say no. So let me talk to you guys a little bit about full sun. I like shooting in full sun. Does that surprise you now at this point, right? I like photographing in full sun. Now this is all natural light. But I have to say no to a lot of things in order to make this work. But what I knew is if I said, hey, we have to do it here, I have to have a natural reflector so that the sun bounces light onto the face, I wasn't going to bring in a portable reflector because the way I was doing my business at that point, it was just me and my client. So it was just like, all right, I got to find something that's going to reflect. So I had a lot of parameters that had to happen in order for me to get a full sun. When I say full sun, I'm talking 12 o'clock. I'm not talking bright 3 o'clock. That's not full sun. That's cheating. But this is all full sun, but now I'm able to still stay in the same thought process, but I do bring in flash. But does it look all that different? It actually really doesn't. So I'm still staying in that same thought process. I'm still capturing the same look that I want, being who I am, and capturing the images that my clients hire me to capture. And going back, stop shooting shallow depth of field. Stop doing those things. That's what they say. But this is what I get hired for. And thankfully, I'm hired for what I love to create. And by saying no to a lot of things, and when I started to bring in flash and incorporating that into my work, I was able to now shift my creative thought process, but still keep it in line with who I am as a photographer. So it's one of those gradual shifts. It's not like an abrupt one. And that's what I'm going back to, when I was going back to telling you guys, really listen to that voice. I'm always listening to my voice. So I love so many things. This is another quote I think I want you guys to actually embody. I love so many things, but not everything I love is mine to create. I can go online and love black and white photography. I can love documentary photography. I can love weddings, looking at weddings. Love all of that, but it's not mine to create. I had to really think about what I like to create. And I was showing you guys a lot of that negative space. That's what I like. I like that. That embodies who I am. And when people tell you what they think you should do, you're no longer creating for you. Who are you creating for? The internet. You're creating for social media. You're creating for everyone else but you. And you are the one that matters. And listening to that voice that's inside, guess what? That's actually going to pay off. So, most people, this is another important thing. Most people don't critique what they dislike. They often critique what challenges them. And if your work makes people uncomfortable, it means you're doing something right. It really does. Think about all the times you're scrolling online, how many things you pass. You pass by things that don't move you. But if you see something that, well, why did they say that? You were moved in some way, shape, or form. Something moved you to make that comment. So when I start seeing people make comments on some of the creative choices that I make, I'm like, okay, I think I'm on to something. Let's go. Let me unpack that. So when someone says to me, we don't like the shallow depth of field, why do you keep doing, why? Well, why? Well, you commented. So that means you like the picture. Because otherwise, you wouldn't try to make me create images you want to create. Right? Now, it's not a reason to stop when people start to critique you, as what I mentioned before. But it's also a real important thing to remember that it's proof that you're on the right path. So I do want to end this with 3 things. 3. And I want you guys to screenshot this because I really want you to do it. And when you do it, I want you to tag me and I want to share it because I want you to post that image you've been second guessing. Anything that you love, like, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Try that lighting setup that you've been overthinking. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to hold myself to that second one. I'm going to hold myself to that second one. But lastly, shoot the idea that feels too different. If you can take these 3 things, or at least do one, I promise you, you actually will move forward in putting yourself out there, creating the work that moves you, that's impactful. Yes? Because if you go to that first one, post the image that you've been second guessing. How many of you guys have images that you love that you've been second guessing it, right? You've got to be like, I don't know. I think they may think that it's too dark or that the crop is wrong. Maybe I should change it based on what other people think. And that is something you should not ever do. And I'm not telling you that it's not something that I don't do. Even with this one, with this shot, I'm not necessarily someone who will have a flare in the middle of somebody's head, right? In all rules, quote unquote rules, of photography, they will say you shouldn't have flares like that. But that's what I saw with my eyes. I wanted to capture it. That's literally what I saw with my eyes. And this brought me back to what I wanted. And hair in the face. Why is the hair in the face? Just think about all the things that, people would beat you up on. But what does the hair on the face tell you? There's movement. There's wind. There's golden hour. There's sun. All of that tells a story in just one portrait. One snap of the shutter. But I could have told myself, I'm not sharing that. I'm not posting that. You can't see the sky. Come on, you guys heard that one. Because this was all captured with natural lighting. With natural light, we don't get the sky. But you know what? This told a story. So that is what I want all of you guys to do. So even like you said with the lighting setup, it does not necessarily mean that I'm talking about flash. It could be that you're going out in the middle of the day. You do want to find natural reflectors. You do want to find, maybe if you're in the city, a building that has windows that the sun's bouncing off of and it's going to create different reflections. Those are all, in my opinions, lighting setups. So it doesn't have to be a 3-light setup with gels. I'm not talking about that. That's easy in terms of saying complex lighting setup. But the light that's in front of you, how can you manipulate that to make all of that work for you? So with that said, if you guys can take these 3 things, post an image you've been second guessing, try the lighting setup that you have been overthinking, shoot that idea that feels too different, please tag me. I would love to see it. And if anything that I've hopefully shared with you guys, keep creating, keep trying, keep shooting, and more importantly, keep inspiring yourself because we have to keep feeding our creative spirit. So thanks so much. I'm Audrey Woulard.